Pope Francis has celebrated Mass in a park in the Ecuadorian city of Guayaquil in front of hundreds of thousands of worshippers. The pontiff is using his tour of Latin America to highlight the importance of family. We asked the Catholic Herald columnist, Father Alexander Lucie-Smith, about the countries the Pope has chosen to visit.
Well, the Pope has chosen to go to three countries that you don't hear much about these days. The biggest Catholic country in Latin America is, of course, Brazil. After that, Argentina. Most important economically is probably Chile. But he's going to three rather neglected countries. He's going to Ecuador, Bolivia, and he's going to Paraguay. And that's surely significant. Bolivia is the poorest country in Latin America. It's got terrible problems. It's lacking in resources. It's landlocked. It's deeply disadvantaged by the fact that it's so high. I do hope the Pope won't feel unwell while he's there, because he's going to one of the highest countries on earth, and he's not particularly robust. I think Bolivia is a really good example of what the Catholic Church needs to do, what its historic mission's about in Latin America. In the past, the Catholic Church was very much identified with the rich, with the landowners, with people with huge possessions. Now it wants to identify with the poor, with the dispossessed, with those who have nothing. That's one of the major themes of this papacy, that a pope with the poor, for the poor, not a pope of the rich, a pope who is remote, or indeed not just a pope, a church that is remote and rich. Rather, it's a church that's with people in their communities. One of the things that the Pope knows from first-hand experience in Argentina is the way so many people in Argentina have gone over to Protestant churches, particularly to Pentecostal evangelical churches. And they've abandoned the Catholicism, which is part of the furniture, if you like, in Latin America. I suppose one of the things the Pope will do is he will try and infuse in the clergy and in the congregations he meets in Latin America an idea that we've got to up our game. Rather, when they get into the church, we've got to make sure they have a true experience of what it means to be a believer in Jesus Christ when they're there. He doesn't want to be identified as an Argentinian pope. He wants to be identified, I think, as an international pope. He rarely speaks Spanish. Ever since he's become pope, he's only ever spoken in Italian. He wants to show us that, when he became pope, in many ways he left his Argentine identity behind and adopted an international one. We love him simply because he's our Pope. He is our Holy Father. We love him because he's our father, our grandfather in some ways. As an ordinary Catholic myself, I've been in St. Peter's Square, I've seen the Pope appear on his office window. I've just felt this wonderful beam of love go up from me, a complete non-entity, to him, the visible head of the church. And it's a wonderful relationship that all Catholics have with the Pope.